Today I'm reviewing this Neewer HB80C video light. Now, to some of you, it may be a little strange that a wedding photographer likes using video lights, but I really do, particularly in close quarters, small rooms, things like getting ready where often there's really poor light. But I don't like the idea of using a flash where you're trying to have this like nice, beautiful moment of the bride, like, you know, putting on her jewelry and you're like, boom, 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 flash, flash, flash. And so a few years ago, I started using video lights instead, and I absolutely love it. And not only do I love it, but my fellow videographers out there, when I'm shooting a wedding with a videographer, they love it as well because it adds the light that they need. I'm not using flash, which can often like mess with their video as well. And so everyone is happy. And also not to mention the other guests where they're like, oh, wow, this light is so nice. And they can take photos with their iPhone and just everyone's happy. Now, I always get questions about, you know, what video light do you use? I want to get something like that. And honestly, I started off by using LED panels, which were not that powerful. The batteries weren't great, but they kind of did the job. It wasn't until I actually got sent the Inky Gold Crow video light. And I have reviewed this on the channel. I'm going to link it above if you want to watch that one as well. But it wasn't until I got one of these really powerful LED lights that like changed things for me. Like the panels were fine and they kind of like did the trick, but they were mostly for direct lighting. The amazing thing about these more powerful lights is that you can bounce the light to create a really soft effect. And there's really nothing like it. Now, that's the light that I've been recommending when people have asked me. However, it is a little bit like more expensive. It seems expensive for a video light. It's, I think, about $500 is what I remember last looking it up. And I realize that that's a lot for a video light that some photographers may only use for a small portion of their wedding day. So Neewer reached out to me about this light, and I thought it was interesting because when I looked it up, it's like $100 or $150. So very affordable, I think, for a light. And so I was really interested to look into it to see if this is a real viable option that I would personally use on a wedding day as well. So I'm going to go through all of the points of this light that kind of stood out to me that were interesting in either a good way or a bad way. And then at the end, I'm going to say whether I would actually bring this on a wedding day shoot to do the same thing that my Inky light has been doing for me. So first of all, it's nice looking. Like I am a huge believer in having gear that you're proud of, that you're excited to use. And honestly, I've gotten other brands reaching out to send me their video lights, and I don't like it because they look cheap. They look honestly just like dorky or like weird. I don't know. I don't like that. I want my gear to look good. And this is a pretty cool looking light. Like I like the kind of gunmetal look gray here paired with black. And the controls don't look like gimmicky or anything. It's pretty clean. And so that right off the bat is really nice for me. Along with the looks, something that is very important to me is the controls. I love that there's a physical button that you switch up and down. Love that. And then I love that there is just like a dial right here in order to turn things up and down. So it makes it very easy, especially as a wedding photographer. I'm often in a rush. I need to do things quickly. And so it's really important that I can do what I want with the light and I can do it quickly and easily. So I was a little surprised actually with how big this light is. And when I first took it out of the bag, which they also included a nice little bag. But when I saw this bag, I was like, oh my goodness, how big is this light? Like this is gigantic. This is not going to work for me. However, I realized that it's not actually the light that took up most of the space. I'll get to that in a minute. But this seemed a little big, but actually when I took it and I lined it up with my other Inky light, I realized that it's about the same thickness, but it's in a different configuration, right? This is a square, while my other light is a cylinder. It looks more like a flashlight. But something I realized as I was kind of working with this light is that this little kind of diffuser thing screws off, which actually makes it a lot better for me, because I like to have a light that I'm typically, again, using this in small rooms, so I want it to spray the light pretty wide. And so actually taking off this little kind of diffuser heat shield thingy, I'm not sure if I should do this or not, but this makes it a better size that I can more easily kind of fit it in my camera bag. It makes more sense. And it just doesn't have this thing that kind of takes up a lot of space. Because again, this is not like, I can shoot a wedding day without a video light, so it's a nice addition to have, but it really needs to be able to fit in my existing workflow. I'm not going to be bringing that huge bag with me. It needs to fit in my cases already, and so if it's too big, it's not gonna work. So I think this just squeezes by in the size test for what I'm looking for. Okay, so what took up the most space in this bag? What is this? It is a very large hood, which is nice. It's a nice hood to, you know, intensify the light in a certain direction, but this is absurd. I cannot use this on a wedding day. So this is not something that I would bring with me at all, because it's far too big. What I would do is maybe just bring this with me, because this does kind of focus the light a bit. It doesn't, like, when this is not on, it sprays the light almost like horizontally. And when I bring this in, it brings it down to more of like maybe a 30-40 degree spray, which if I need it to be more direct, I guess I can bring this. But that hood, no, it's too big. Now, the weight for this it's heavier than I would think it is. I don't know if it's like, when I looked at this online, I didn't imagine it to be so heavy. I'm assuming that's kind of the battery inside of it. But when I first pulled it out, I was like, oh my goodness, this thing is heavy. I'm not sure, maybe because of the shape of it, it kind of tricks you a little bit, but this is almost the exact same weight as my Inky light, but it's not like absurdly heavy that it's a real drawback to actually using this. Now, even though I am giving this hood a hard time for being ginormous and about the size of my head, the nice thing about this light is that it does use a Bowens mount. So, like, it's interchangeable with different things that I have that has the same mount. So you can use it for a softbox or whatever things that you have. I personally don't use those things very often. Even for my YouTube videos, when I use a video light, I just bounce it off a wall. I don't use any softboxes or anything, but it's nice to have that option. Okay, so let's get into the actual reason why I need a video light, and that is because of, well, the light. When I use a video light, I am using primarily just daylight balanced light, probably around 5600 kelvins, somewhere around there, maybe a little warmer, maybe a little cooler. The thing about this light is that it comes with so many things. Okay, so let's turn down that so I don't just like lose you in the light. But it has so many different things. It's like crazy. It is actually, the thing about this is I feel like it's not just like completely random, weird color options. There is a lot of specificity that you can put into this. Like, you can really choose specific colors. For me, I don't use any of that, so it's kind of useless for me. That's almost a drawback, where when you go into the menu, there's all of these settings. There's probably, I think 4. Let me see. Let's see. So when I go through, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 kind of crazy color menu settings, and then there's 2 for just generic like CCT lighting, whatever that means. So the one drawback about that is, like, when I'm going through the menu, 70% of it is I'm just trying to get through it to get back to the setting that I want to. So that is a drawback. There's actually almost a little too many features for something that I need. The one thing that is kind of interesting as we come into colors is the fact that you can change the tint settings on the light. Like I don't know that much about like using video lights in different colors. But one of the settings is, hold on, let me get to it. Yeah, one of the settings when I'm on the like CCT mode is that I can go to what's called GM here. And I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but you can see how that's really purple. And then I'm moving the dial all the way up to the other side, and that adds green to the light. Now, that is kind of interesting. I'm not sure if I'd actually use it, but there are scenarios, especially at weddings, when you're in a room and there's a green cast coming in from trees or from grass. And it could be interesting to see whether I could counterbalance some of that light by adding some more magenta to the light to kind of balance out those colors. So at least in my brain, it's kind of an interesting thought. Like maybe I will add some magenta and see how that works. I'm not sure if that would just like make it really muddy and weird, but something that I might try in the future. Now, I mentioned this already, but I love just like the physical on-off switch, especially for weddings. You know, you're kind of panicked, you're in the mode, and it's nice to just have a physical button that you're switching and you're not trying to like touch screen or do a lot of fancy things in order to get your light to go on. Now, on the same side of this on-off switch is the charging port. One thing I just want to shout out here that I really like is that they included a very long USB-C charging port. Like, this thing is awesome. Like, it is maybe 10 feet long, which is actually usable if you want to use this light and then maybe it's running low or you want to use it while it's plugged in on power. The one thing that I was kind of disappointed by was that they didn't include like an actual charging thing. Like I can't plug this into the wall. I need to use my own plug. With the other light that I use, it came with a 100-watt charger so that it can charge it very quickly and it can charge it while it's on and kind of keep up the power amount. So that is one thing that is a little disappointing, even though I did look it up. You can purchase one of those, you know, charging things from Neewer that would work with this light. Another setting that is important to note is this fan button on the back. It looks like when you have the video light plugged in, there are 3 fan settings. It looks like there's kind of high, medium, and low. And depending on what that is, if you have it on high fan setting and you have the intensity all the way up, that gives you the brightest amount of light. And if you stay at 100%, but then you move the fan setting down to medium, it brings down the intensity a little bit. It's not much, but it's probably maybe 5%. And then you can also move it again down to low, and that probably drops the intensity another maybe 5% or so. And so I'm assuming that's, you know, so that the light doesn't melt down. The issue though is that there's only 3 fan settings when it's plugged in. When it's not plugged in and it's on battery, you only have the 2 lower settings. So the reason why I went through all of that is because this is apparently an 80-watt light from what I understand. And the Inky light that I have and I use says it's a 60-watt light. However, when it's on battery, and this is on battery at full power, this is not as powerful. This is probably maybe about 10% not as powerful, maybe like 7%, not like a little bit lower than my other video light. And it does make a difference. In this room, in my studio here, it's the difference. This is not very technical, as you can tell. It's the difference between like when I turn this light on, it's like, oh yeah, there's some light. When I turn my other Inky light on full, it's like, oh wow, okay, that's bright. And so, yes, that's not very technical. I didn't like measure the light or anything, but I do wish on battery that this was just a little bit brighter. I will say though, when this is plugged in and it's at that high fan level and the intensity is up, it's about the same. Okay, and one thing about the fan, I guess this is why I didn't really understand why there's like different fan settings and how that affects the brightness, is that I turned this light on at full power, let it heat up. The fans turned on. I had it at full fan mode or whatever. And it was almost imperceptible. Like it was very quiet. So I would probably always have this thing on full, fan. It doesn't cause an issue for me at all. I think it's very, very quiet. Now, two other little accessories that came with this light is this little metal tripod, which honestly, it's kind of cool. Like it has this little spinny thing that will let the legs go out further or further, depending, like it'll go almost flat all the way to kind of, I don't know, not flat. I thought this was a fun little metal tripod, but as I thought about it, like there's no like tilt or anything. So you could put the video light on here, but it would just aim straight. So I don't know what this is good for, but it is nice. It's a nice little thing. I don't know what I wouldn't use it with this. I'd like use it for something else, like some other tripod or something. The mount is this. I like that it's metal. I like that it's not too bulky, it's small. A couple things that are kind of cool is that it has like a little umbrella mount. If you wanna slide an umbrella on here and then tighten it down, you can do that. But overall, like it seems sturdy, it seems solid, it seems easy to use. That's important for what I'm looking for. And it has like a light stand mount on the bottom. And that's how I use my video lights. I put it on a light stand and I'm gonna pop this thing on top. So the last thing I'm going to mention about this light is that it does have an app for controlling it. Now, the way I found this out, like maybe it says it on the box, I didn't even read it, but it has this little tiny thing that says like mic. And I'm like, why is there a mic on this? Like I don't, is it like voice controlled? What's going on? Who's spying on me? So thankfully, no one is spying on me. No governments are spying on me. This, you can connect to an app, and through that app, you can control the brightness, the color, all of that stuff, which is actually quite cool. And it connected very easily. I downloaded the app, connected it to it, and it was very responsive, which would be nice, especially if I'm using it maybe during speeches or the dance floor, that I don't have to go over to the light and turn it on and off. I can do it right from my phone, which honestly is actually a huge plus for this light. The reason why there is a mic on this light is because they have like this like sound responsive light, which I played with it a little bit. I don't know why I would ever use it, but it is cool. So if you have some music going, the light like goes with the beat of the music, which is kind of fun. Maybe you could use it on the dance floor. I don't know, have some vibes going on. So that is what the mic is for. You're not being spied on. I don't think so. But if you want to sync it with your music, you can do that. So that is my review of this Neewer HB80C. Would I use this at a wedding? Okay, I'm gonna say that it comes close. It's definitely not I'm definitely going to consider using this on a wedding day. One of the couple reasons why this might win out on the video light that I already have is honestly that app control of being able to turn it on and off quickly, and the ability to change the tint of the color. However, I'm a little concerned at how bright this thing is. I wish it was a little bit brighter I wish it was as bright on battery as it was when it's plugged in and on the full fan mode. So I'm not disappointed where I don't think this would do the job. I think it would do the job, but I would love to have a little bit more intensity for that. So I am going to take this on a wedding day. I think it's worth trying out. I like the shape of it. I like the size of it. It's kind of interesting to me. And honestly, it's a more affordable option. And so I think this is definitely something to look at if budget is an issue and you can't quite afford the other light. It gives you honestly like 80%, 83% of the ability of, the Inky light that I have, but at almost half the cost, which I think is a really awesome thing for photographers and videographers, because honestly, that's why I do these reviews on this channel, even though these are not like always big brand names. Like Neewer, everybody knows Neewer. I really love that they give photography options to photographers that don't have a lot of money to spend, because that's how I started in my own wedding photography career. I didn't have a lot of money to spend, and so buying, for example, a affordable flashes and affordable lights like this gives you the ability to be creative and start off your photography business when you don't have that much to spend. So let me know if any of you have used this video light in the real world and if my kind of first impressions line up with what you've thought as well. And if I do end up using this at a wedding and I have any different views on it, I'll make sure to make an update video if there's any big changes to it. But that is all for now. If you want to check this out, I will make sure to put a link in the description so that you can see if this would be a good light for you. Okay, bye.